All right, guys, welcome back to Queen City Corals. Now, you guys might notice I'm in front of a different building. Well, it's the same building, but a different spot. And that is because our normal spot over there, where we have our store, is actually expanding. So we unfortunately weren't able to get the unit right next to us, but we're one door over. So still very close, makes it very easy to, transport corals and things. For instance, we're just going to be able to run our RO line all the way over. But very exciting. We've got a new location. This is going to be kind of like our farm. So we're going to move our farm over here. And then newer things, quarantine, things like that, we'll have over here. So I'm going to show you guys around a little bit at the giant mess that we have currently. So first off, it's the same layout as our old store. So you've got this little office area up at the front, where we've got some couches and chairs to kind of hang out. And then the real mess begins back here. So if you guys have seen our store, we have a wall that we built along here. This one, obviously, we did not build a wall here. So it is open, and we'll probably leave it like that just because this isn't going to be a place where we have customers coming back to. It's going to be really just for our maintenance guys to get their water. And then obviously our farm and quarantine, things like that, just to make it easier. Obviously, we don't want people having to go outside and go into another store. But as you can see, it's a bit of a disaster right now. We just finished moving everything in. Regardless, we've kind of got everything in here now. You see, we got a nice little innovative Marine 25 gallon. It's one of my favorite tanks. I've got my table saw actually from my house. As well as we got our washer and dryer. So now we'll be able to wash towels here at the shop, which is going to be really nice. And we've got the start of our systems. So I just finished setting up this system yesterday. The only thing left to do is to pressure wash this tub here, which is going to be the sump, and then glue the drain lines. And then I'll probably start filling it up with water today, because I finished all this plumbing and gluing it all in earlier. So this one is pretty much ready to go. We got this actually from a guy here in North Carolina. We drove a couple hours to pick it up, and it's perfect for what we're doing because it's super easy to kind of work in this tank. We're just going to basically have new incoming corals. So right now, the way we do it is because we're a little restricted on space, we get corals in, we dip them, we put them into our quarantine tanks. They kind of sit there for a little while, and then we'll move them out. With this, what we'll be able to do is we'll just be able to put fresh corals in here, not dip them right away. And so that will allow us to help them survive a little bit better, because at the end of the day, dipping is harsh and it is more stress on the coral. Sometimes we don't always dip right when we get them in. So last night we got a shipment in. It had been delayed, so we just put it in one of our quarantine tanks, and then we're going to dip it today. But with this, it'll allow us to just put the corals in here, let them sit for a day before we actually go through, inspect, and dip them, because now we'll actually be able to have a couple stages of quarantine here. So like I said, we're going to have our fresh coming corals in here. And that's why this is just a tub, is because we won't really need to be looking in here. With the tanks, it really helps. We've had a trough before. We had it with our old SPS system, and we noticed that it's difficult to make sure that all the corals are healthy when you have these tubs, because there's flow on top and you can't really see into it. So you need to cut off the flow and really look very closely at everything. And that can be tough, especially if you're kind of busy, like we are, obviously. So it's much easier to look through the side of the tank and look at the coral's health. You can just be walking by and see something, see an issue, address it, test the water, whatever we need to do. But it makes it a lot easier for us to actually care for things that are with us a little bit more long-term, or even in quarantine. And so with these, we did these tubs just because They're going to be in here for about a day max. So we're not too worried about the health of things because we'll literally be putting the corals in here and then the next day taking them out and actually inspecting them. So looking for pests, dipping them, making sure they're all healthy, things like that. So it's not really a concern where things are going to be in here for a long time and we need to consistently monitor them. Additionally, these tubs are super easy to clean out. So we can just drain this whole tub and then we can give it a wash. They're super light, so I can literally grab this tub by myself and take it outside, pressure wash it if I want, if we got something really nasty in there, but it makes it really easy to handle. We've got some live rock in here cooking. So we started this up a couple weeks ago, as you guys can see. It's just rocks that we put some bacteria in, power heads, as well as an air stone and a heater, just to basically get that water cooking and get that rock to develop some bacteria on it. So it'll be nice and live when we put it into our tanks. So that's pretty much what we're at right now. I'll show you guys pretty soon the rest of the tanks that are going in here. So we're going to have rows of tanks coming down. We'll have 3 more rows of tanks in addition to these. And they will be, like I said, our farm tanks as well as more quarantine tanks to give us more space to bring in more stock. And then we can have more corals. Yay. So right now what I'm working on, we've got our tanks ordered. We went with acrylic tanks from a local manufacturer. The acrylic is going to be a little bit cheaper and also it's a lot lighter. And it is going to be custom made. So if we went with the glass custom tank, that would be really nice, but we aren't having customers back here. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like. And the acrylic is going to be much, much cheaper, especially for us where we're looking to do something custom with a custom height, width, all that. So we don't need to buy standard tanks. Over there, we bought low boys, which are a really nice tank. But for this, we're going a little bit deeper. So instead of 24 inches like those, they're going to be 36 inches. We're also doing a few 8-foot tanks instead of all 4-foot tanks like we have over there. And then finally, the last thing is that these guys are going to be 14 inches tall. The low boys are 10 inches, I believe, which is fine for a lot of things, but especially for our use here where we're going to have like colonies and things like that, it's good to have it a little bit lower because it's going to be giving us more space for the corals to actually come up. So now I will show you guys what I'm doing today, which is building stands for all those tanks. Very exciting. A lot of math and planning. So luckily, I'm not giving away any secrets here because you will not be able to read this. This is the scribblings of a madman. But these are my very poorly drawn out plans for these tanks. So as you can see, it's just basically going to be 2x4s going across, and then we'll have some supports in between, as well as a center support that's vertical here. And yeah, that's basically it. These are the 8-foot tanks, or the 8-foot tanks and stands. So one of the 4-foot systems we're doing is going to just be on an 8-foot stand because it makes it easier. So I'm building 5 of these guys. And then we're going to be building 2 of these 4-foot stands. Same thing, it's just got a center support on each of these. It doesn't need a center vertical support because it's only 4 feet. And we're using 2x4s. And then we'll have plywood on the top and maybe on the bottom. I'm not sure. But I am getting ready to go to Home Depot and I'm going to buy more wood than I've ever bought in my life, which is exciting. We'll see if it all fits in the truck. Who knows? Maybe I'll be taking 2 trips. But I need to get wood. I need to get some more paint. We use the Kills latex paint. Just helps protect the wood from obviously all the salt water that we have. And then a couple of other odds and ends. We are pretty much good on this plumbing, so I don't think I need to buy anything for this plumbing here. We still are going to be waiting a couple weeks on the tanks, but we wanted to kind of get a jump start and build our stands out. So we'll get the stands in place, we can get them painted and ready to go for when the tanks get here. We can just right away drop them in and we're ready to go. I am also working on adding a sink in here. There used to be water fountains here. We don't really need water fountains. We really need a sink. So I'm going to be adding this. I got to get some plumbing parts for it. And yeah, that's about it. Maybe clean up this mess soon. Who knows? But it's very exciting. We're going to have a lot more space. We were really restricted by space. If you guys have seen our store tour, we are pretty jam-packed in there, and those tanks are all pretty full. So this is going to be nice to clear out a lot of the stuff in there, give us some more space. It's a win-win-win-win, except for right now because I have to do a lot of building and plumbing and a lot of late nights, which is not fun, but it will all be worth it because we'll have more space, we'll have more tanks, and what is better in life than more tanks? I can't think of anything. So I will update you guys on this again later. When I have some progress updates, we'll see how much, like I said, how much of this wood fits in the truck and get building. So yeah, welcome back. We have made some progress here on the stands. So I have gotten the wood. I got all the wood other than the plywood tops that we're going to use. So we've got all of our wood. It fit in the truck, luckily. I didn't grab the plywood, but all of the actual supports for the stand fit. We made it back. We are making some pretty good progress. So I've got everything cut right now. So I went through, I pre-cut all my wood. I've got quite a bit here. I'm sure I will look a little bit more tired, a little bit sweatier. We have definitely made some good progress. We've got it all cut, and then I am starting now to drill my pocket holes. These are gonna be the stand leg pieces. So basically, this is kind of a frame here of one of the 4-foot stands that I'm building. For the 4-foot stands, I'm just using 2x3s just because it isn't going to be holding as much weight, obviously. So we can get away with a little bit less here. This is going to be the top and bottom pieces here. Our tanks are 4 feet by 3 feet. And then the longer tanks are going to be basically the same thing, just 8 feet and then 3 feet. And what I'm doing right now, I'll grab, this is one of the ones for the 8-foot stands, but the same thing, basically. And so these are going to go right here and be our leg supports. Now, as you can see on that stand over there, the legs don't make contact here. And they're just basically being supported by the screws in the wood, which is not ideal. It's not a too big concern. That's actually the stand that came with it, so I know that it's able to support it. For me, when I'm building a stand, I like to actually have the wood supporting everything rather than just the screws. So I'm drilling these pocket holes here, so that way I can attach the wood to the base piece right here, attach the legs to the base piece, and it is going to look pretty much like this. And then I'll build another one of these boxes, put it right on top. So I'm basically just going through and batching out all of these legs, drilling the pocket holes with the little pocket hole jig here. And so this makes it nice and easy. So it's a perfect pocket hole, and it's not something that's going to be a little janky if I were to just do it by hand. So I'm getting all of these drilled. So far, I've literally only drilled one. It's 4 o'clock right now. I'm hoping I can get these done by 6 o'clock. And then I'll finish up setting that thing up. The maintenance team just came back with the van, which we needed to fill this up anyways. So I was kind of waiting on that. I have a bunch of pocket holes to drill, and that's going to be very fun. I got to drill these pieces here, those pieces there, and then these 3 piles right here, and then these 8 pieces right here. So it shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. honestly, I'm hopeful. Let's say I'll be done with this at 5. But regardless, I'm going to be staying late because we have a package coming in a little bit later. Should get back here at the shop to 7:38. So basically, that's my time limit to try and get that all set up, all these holes drilled, and then tomorrow we're going to go through and actually build these stands. I might try to make one tonight. I don't know, we'll see how I'm feeling. Maybe have a little bit more caffeine. But yeah, we're making good progress. Like I said, we got it all cut. I just got to drill these holes. And then after that, it's pretty easy to assemble these guys. As you can see, it's a pretty simple build. Just build all these boxes and then screw in the bottom, screw in the top, and call it a day. We also are working on getting the jugs for our water, our mixing station over here. We're going to get 275-gallon jugs. That's what we have at the current store. And then for our RO, we're going to get a 500-gallon vertical tank. So it'll look like that, but about 10 times bigger. So that'll be fun. And then from there, once we have all the stands built, we're going to get our sumps. For this setup, we're just going to be using these tubs, basically. So we still got to go get those, but we don't have the tanks anyways, so we got plenty of time. So we'll get these. Those will go up against the wall, put our stands in, and then once we get our mixing station and ideally get the sumps in, I'm going to start running the plumbing. So if you may have seen at our old store, we've got the pipes essentially run across the top. And so what that allows us to do is just very easily open a valve, fill up the tank for any salt water that we're missing. And then we'll have, you see there's a little hole already drilled here, which is perfect. That's going to be our float valve for topping off. So we'll install all of our RO line as well along here. And then at the current store, I only ran a salt line. Well, I ran one pipe that we use for salt water, essentially topping off. But here, I'm also going to add a freshwater line because sometimes the float valves don't fill up all the way or something happens and we need to add fresh water for whatever reason. Right now, the way we do it is we fill up a 5-gallon bucket, lug it over, and pour it into the sump. It's a lot easier if we just open a valve, fill it up. Especially here, we'll have a 500-gallon RO, so we'll never run out of RO. And yeah, I'm going to get, hopefully, these stands pre-drilled tonight. Maybe build one, we'll see. And then we'll have all the stands in place. And then in the next couple days, we will run all that plumbing, get our mixing station set up, and then we're almost ready. We just got to get the tanks in, plumb those, and hopefully in the next two to 3 weeks, we'll have this place up and running. Very exciting. I need to get those jugs in, measure them, plumb them, and then we can set up the washer and dryer, which is also going to be very nice because right now I take the towels home, I wash all the towels. It's not very fun because then I have to lug the towels all the way back. And as you guys can imagine here at a fish store, we go through a lot of towels. The only other thing we need to get is the plywood. Oh, and then we got to paint these guys with the kills. I got us a big old bucket of kills. I got the 5-gallon bucket here. So hopefully we have enough because last time at the old store, we kept buying the little 1-gallon paint cans and we just kept buying them. And then we'd have to go back to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, get more. And that was not super fun because we just ended up running back and forth because we were like, oh, we've got enough paint. We got enough paint. But you never have enough paint. Never have enough paint, especially with all these stands. And we want to make sure they're pretty well coated, obviously, because you do not want this wood degrading in this environment because there's a lot of weight on them. And we want them to be properly sealed because we never have floods here. No, we have floods pretty frequently. So it's good to make sure that we have sort of a fail-safe, make sure everything's running well. Yeah, so this was a fun little break for me. I will get back to drilling. as you can tell, I'm super excited. Yay! So, to be honest, it's been a few days since I last recorded. It's been pretty crazy here. I had to go out on an install, and then we started a sale, so I've been helping customers and all that. But I've made some progress here. So we've got our stands all assembled and everything. I've got the plywood on top here. And then I just finished cutting up the plywood that's going to go on the bottom down here so we can store things. I just have to cut out basically where the posts go. And then I'm going to add some more supports just in the corner here just to make sure that it doesn't fall because obviously we do not want that. I think we're going to have to do some moving around of some of these stands. I think we're going to swap the 4-foots with that one there. So we're going to put the washer and dryer over by the sink because it'll be a little bit easier to plumb as well as run the exhaust line out. So we're going to do that. We also just finished up running the RO line from the old store through the unit in the middle across here. So that way we'll have RO without having to buy another massive RO unit, which takes up space and is expensive. So making pretty good progress. I've got some pocket holes to drill, and then I'm going to go to Lowe's and get a few things that we need. We've got our mixing station though, and we've got it all plumbed up pretty much. So we have our big 500-gallon jug here. It's a behemoth. Awesome. And then we've got 2 175-gallon jugs, just like we got at the old store. And then we've got it plumbed into this pump. So basically, you just open which valve you want. So I want fresh water, or I want this saltwater tank, or I want this saltwater tank. And then you go up here. This is a little valve where the water just can come out and we can use it to fill up buckets or brutes or whatever. This valve will be for the service team, so they have a union that they can unscrew and screw on, pump straight into the van. And then we are still waiting on some bulkheads for up here, but basically these will go into here. And then same thing, okay, we want a bulkhead here. You know, put water in here, put water in here. And then this valve is going to go up and around to all the different systems. Same thing with this little hidden valve here. That's going to be our RO water. Yeah, we're making pretty good progress. So it is about 9 o'clock right now. I am a little bit sweatier. I've got a lot more sawdust on me. But the good news is that I've got all the platforms at the bottom installed. I've also added the little extra supports down here. So before I just had one piece, but I wanted to do 2 pieces because this is going to be quite a bit of weight on here. So it's not going to hurt to have a little bit of extra support. So I've got all that done. I've got obviously a lot of cleaning up to do. Sawdust everywhere, scrap wood everywhere, tools everywhere. I am not a super neat person, especially when I'm trying to get the job done. But we'll go through and clean up everything tomorrow, vacuum out all the sawdust, get all that cleaned up, probably fill it up tomorrow, move our stands into place. It is Monday, so we are picking up the tanks on Wednesday, which is very exciting. And we'll get those on here, position everything out, and then we can start our plumbing. I'll show you guys how we're going to plumb it, and we're going to have it set up so, as I said, we're going to run pipes all along this wall to give us easy access to dump salt water in as well as fresh water. But we're also going to set up the drains so that we can just hook up a hose and drain the entire tank, or, you know, half the tank, or whatever we want to do. Make it really easy to do water changes. So we're going to make it a lot easier here. I'll show you guys how we're doing all that, how we set it all up. To make it nice and easy for us to do maintenance, because we're going to have a lot more tanks and a lot more water, because we're going to have basically twice as much water, but we are going to have a much easier system to do those water changes to keep up with our maintenance, because we don't want to end up falling behind and letting these systems be a little neglected. because we have a lot of stuff to do still at the old store, and it's already hard enough to keep up with all the water changes there. So we're going to get the tanks on Wednesday, and then I'm going to install some platforms above these systems. So we'll have some supports going up there, and then basically the same structure right here, 2x4s, plywood on top, and it'll give us a lot more storage. Obviously, we've got the storage down here, but if you guys come into our front little office area up here, you can see we definitely need some more storage. These are all boxes filled with boxes that we use to ship out. So it's got the styrofoam and the boxes that we use for shipping. Make sure the packages are nicely insulated. So we definitely need more storage for these guys. So under there, as well as above the tanks, where we'll also be able to mount the lights really easily, we'll have all of that so we can clean up that front room, use it as maybe an office, maybe put some display tanks up there. We'll see. I want to finish this first before we worry about that. I've got enough to do here. As you can see, this mess alone is going to take me a couple hours to clean up. I'm not looking forward to it. But that is future Graham's problem. He will do that tomorrow, and he will suffer from my laziness. But it's 9 o'clock, and I'm very tired from the day. It was a long day. Yeah, I think that is all the updates for the farm. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This little update of our new location. Very excited to have more space for more corals and get this all built out, kind of redo some of the mistakes we made at the old store. Like I said, making draining nice and easy, partially because we didn't super know what we were doing, and partially because we kind of slowly built out the other store. We didn't install all the tanks at once. And so we'll be able to do a lot more here with all that. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe to make sure you stay up to date with all of our latest videos. More updates on this. As I said, we'll show you guys how we're going to do the plumbing and all that. Maybe you can take some inspiration. Maybe you can improve on our ideas. But I hope you guys do stay tuned on this build because it is going to be very fun. If you guys did enjoy it, you can make sure to leave a like down below. If you have any suggestions for us on what we should be doing differently, what I'm doing wrong, I'm sure there are a ton of things I'm doing wrong, but this is the way I'm doing it. But I'll definitely take suggestions down below in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video.